Hey, good morning. Um, I just thought up a problem as I woke up today about, um, well, you have these bicep tear compilations which keep on happening, right? And that seems to be bugging me. Um, so yeah, I went through a few papers which I'll put it in the description. Now, this is like a more or less layman calculation, and it's not, I don't think it's supported by anything. I'm just coming up with a few numbers which um, you may want to uh, look into, I guess. So, regarding the bicep tear things, compilations, and whatnot you see on YouTube, it's mainly about bicep tendon tear, which happens at the distal tendon. Distal meaning the far off tendon, far off, further off, not the near one, but the further off tendon. Now, this is the bicep muscle which has initially at the initiation part from the clavicle and the shoulder girdle, I guess. Two tendons. You don't care about that as of now. The other thing is over here because it usually happens when you start to curl. When you curl, you start to exert force more than what is required for that weight to overcome gravity and go in the opposite direction. So that's when shit happens. Now, you have the distal tendon, which is attached mainly to the ulna, the non-rotating forearm bone, which has the center of insertion around, say, X, where the point where you hold the weight is around 3 to 3.5 times X. This is approximately what I have observed with my arm. Now, looking at this point, the distal tendon in the smallest part, it's say a area of cross section. Turns out it's around 8 millimeters square minimum. Okay. uh, from the, I think, the second paper which I have put in the description. Now, I want to find out at what loading L um, would this be, I mean, at what loading L should I worry about this loading when this bicep is working more or less at the end of its, well, functional, you know performance. I don't want it to go beyond this point, otherwise this is going to tear. Now, this angle is approximately 30 degrees. So this problem can be translated into a point of rotation, weightless approx beam. You have a force angle 30 degrees x away from the point of rotation, and around 3 to 3.5x away you have the load L which you hold. Now, this is in the locked out position where the triceps are contracted. I mean, they are stabilizing and contracting so that it's in a locked out, full elbow locked out position, and you're not attempting to do any curl from this point, because if you curl, that force that you apply is going to be more than L to start this, to start the motion of this weight upwards. So it has to be more than L to overcome gravity. So an initial acceleration and initial stuff has to be given. Yeah, this force, let me tell you what uh, this force is more or less realized by the second paper in the description. The thing is, any material has this, like when it is characterized, you come up with this graph, the stress strain graph, where you have this point where upon uh, being subjected to a load, a breaking stress is developed by the material where the stuff basically breaks. So that is, so this is called the ultimate tensile stress, at least in this case, and that number turns out to be at least around 27 megapascals. Now in the second paper, which I put in the description, it's like some 32 plus something plus or minus something. I'm taking the minimum number so that I can come up with a minimum number of for this, uh, from where I need to be cautious. Like I need to start slowly strengthening the tendon before subjecting it to loads above that. So that number, the minimum number, comes out to be 27 megapascals. The area comes out to be minimum 8 millimeter squares. Now it's minimum because again in the paper you have that plus or minus thing, and they have used many observations. I want to be in the safer side of things, so I'm taking the minimums of all these things. Okay. Now, based on this, to have a locked out position, you need to have this force, which is sigma times A, uh, supplying a torque about this, which is, um, yeah, let's write over here. Sigma A sine 30 degrees times x. Now that has to be in the logger position at least, uh, to have that locked out. I don't want curling, so in that case equal to, so it will be like that, just no rotation, L times 3 to 3.5x. I want to find the minimum quantity, minimum newtons, minimum kg weight of L, for which the for from which I would need to be cautious. For that I'm going to take 3.5 so that you'll have smaller L. X's cancel, 3.5 and this 0.5 makes it 7, so sigma A by 7. So this would be, well, 27 megapascals, mega Newton per meter square. Meter square is like mega millimeter square times A, which is 8 millimeters square. So megas cancel, millimeter squares cancel, you have 8 and you have 7. So you have 27 times 1 point something. I want to find I want to have that minimum number. Oh, and by the way, okay, yeah, before that, 27 kgs is that minimum number, okay, from this calculation. Now this is the breaking load, minimum breaking load, okay, so I'll say MBL. Now I want to operate within this linear regime, okay. So I don't really have seen a lot of papers with this graph. This is the graph that I know from experience of seeing online stuff with many materials. Now I am assuming if I operate with a stress of half this absolute breaking stress, that I would be in the linear regime. It's an assumption, okay? If that is the case, then this sigma which I have to use would be half. So the answer, I mean the result, would be half of this, so which is around, calculations, 13 kgs, okay, minimum. Beyond 13 kgs weight, I'll call this minimum beware load, okay, MBL. So beyond 13 kgs you need to be cautious. Beyond 27 kgs, if you're not cautious, you're either stupid or you want stuff to tear. So somewhere between 13 and 27 is what you might want to be operating in your entire lifetime, regardless of how strong your bicep tendon is. I don't care if you're a super elite gymnast, being able to do some Carmona or iron cross or something like that, but when you're using weights and when you're mm, trying to be in a trying to replicate or strengthen, I guess, don't go beyond this number on the higher scale. Oh, and by the way, let me tell you something. If 13 to 27 kgs is at L, right, uh, 13 to 27 kgs, and say you're holding an Maldives cross or something. Oh wait, let's say you're holding an inverted iron cross or something, okay? Then based on what your weight is, you would have to approximately, well, the bicep over here would face some force. Let's find out how much that is. Damn, it's freezing here. So in this arm you'll have to put up a force of half of your weight, which means that this would be your L, which means your weight twice of that, which is 26. What? I would say around okay, 60 kgs. What a number. 60 kgs. If a gymnast is beyond 60 kgs, right, then shit, what can I say? Sad. Oh shit. What a number. What a number. Like if you want to operate near your imagination limits, then around 60 kgs would be uh, that sweet spot, that end of sweet spot. If you're below 60 kgs, then wow, you can do a lot of things. But if you're, I don't know, starving yourself, you really wouldn't have the drive, you wouldn't have the power to go from one level to another, I mean from one element to another. 60 kgs would be, I mean around 60 kgs, okay, is that sweet spot weight. Damn. And I think a lot of gymnasts are in that level, are in that range. Okay, okay. So straight arms, stuff around 60 kgs. Okay, just for people with around 80 kgs or something body weight have some sort of hopes. Let's see, that paper had something like 32 plus 5 plus or minus 5, something like that. From where I got the 27 for the sigma, the absolute breaking strength. Assuming you take 32 and then you do the half again, okay, you come up with what, 16, and again, so 16 to 32 kgs L. Body weight being twice of 32, okay, 64 kgs. Okay, 60 has gone up to the 64 kgs. 32 plus 5 in that case would be 37 kgs. So twice of 37 kgs is, well, let's see, 37, what's twice of that? 76 kgs? No, 74 kgs, right? 74. Okay, the number is going close to 80 kgs because I've seen people beyond 80 kgs holding an iron cross. Uh, so, uh, okay, so these I don't know, minimal calculations tend to favor people up to around 60 kgs. Okay, there's one more thing. Imagine instead of 3.5, the length of that. Where is that? Yeah. Instead of 3.5, you take 3. And you take 37 over there. So you have what? A sigma by let's see, a sigma times sine 30 degrees, which is half, times x equals L times 3 times of x gets cancelled, so you have 326 6 down. Say L is W by 2, so W would be twice of A is A sigma, will come out to be 37. So you have 3, this is like that, like 12, 9, whoa, it was 16, it was 9, okay, 96 kgs. Okay, so people with 96 k, like beyond 96 kgs, it's like hard to imagine being able to hold like an inverted cross or iron cross or something like that. You can always strengthen. This is from a statistics point of view. Who knows? Not, I mean, a few of them were having that strength for pulling stuff off. So yeah, it's just numbers. There's not much conclusion that I can come up with, but it's just that coming up with these numbers which are favoring 60 to 64 kgs people, that correlates with a lot of gymnasts and top Cali athletes, especially in rings, on rings. Well, okay, I did not do this calculation before, so this is fascinating. Okay, so and this 96 kgs is kind of also involving, I mean, allowing people with heavier body weights around 80 kgs or slightly above to be to give them opportunity to hold iron cross, I guess. I mean, uh, that's stupid of me to tell that, because it takes a lot of years for them to come up to that level. I'm not dissing them, I'm just saying, uh, yeah, basically, don't uh, be sad or something. Just understand where you are. Uh, Feel it out. If things are, uh, if the things don't feel right when you're doing exercises involving straight arms, don't push it a lot. I mean, don't think of pushing it. You need to yeah, go slow. Okay. What a morning. 60 kgs.